Hey, how you doing? My name is ABethel. I am a game design major, and today I'll be showing you a feature that I implemented called directional arrow. This particular feature was implemented by Tiara Wall. I pretty much recreated it for this tournamental project. So, what directional arrow is something that allows a player to see where the ball is headed and plan the next move and use walls to reach the end goal. So, what that means in a nutshell is that based on player input, there's going to be a directional arrow that pops up, shows a player what direction they're facing. There is a golf ball in a map that responds to physics simulation. So when you bump into it, it'll move. So the player has to actually move it around the map. The walls of the map are set up to keep the ball within bounds. And then, of course, there's a goal tile that'll give the player feedback to say you win. You're also going to see the level restart, which is something that I personally implemented to kind of, add to the feature in of itself. So first, what I'll show you is my own feature, which is projectile spawning. And my projectile spawning feature, the projectile cannot leave the bounds of the map. If you can see in the top left, it also depletes any type of stamina the player has. And once it overlaps with the cylinder, you can see it shows up 5 points on the actual feedback that we have set up there in the top left. Which is a print string. And once it's out of stamina, you can no longer produce said projectile. So moving on to Tiara's feature, the directional arrow, you can see based on the direction the player is facing, there's a directional arrow that lets the player know what direction it's facing. There's also this golf ball here that once you bump into it, you see it starts moving. It's based on physics simulation. Um, you see the walls are set up in such a way that the ball cannot leave the bounce. And then we're also going to show you what happens when you see that it can't even go out of the wall. We're going to show you what happens when it interacts with that gold tile at the end. And you see you win, and the restart setup that I implemented just kind of enhanced the feature. So I'll show you exactly how that works. We'll start with the directional arrow, which is within the player pawn itself. So I created an input action called direction, which is the left mouse button, only because I already have my own function that pretty much happens when you use E for interact. So I set up a new input action direction that it's set to the left mouse button. Once you press it, we have a boolean called is visible. Is visible is going to be set to true when you press it. It's going to be set to false when it's released. And then we call a function called show direction. In the show direction function, we have a set visibility that's based on the arrow, it's the target, and it's going to be based on whether is visible is true or false. So it's pretty, cut and dry as far as how we're going to set whether the arrow is visible. Also, within the arrow component itself, I made sure to have visible, like the rendering, visible and hidden in game set to false so that we control it in the blueprint itself. Next, we have the golf ball. The golf ball is a duplicate of the box obstacle. So, you duplicate the box obstacle, you have the golf ball. And then the cube inherited, I went ahead and we changed the static mesh to a sphere and we simulated physics. So that allowed for us to have that golf ball on the map. And of course, the simulated physics allows for us to kind of bump into it and move it around based on physics. Now, I kind of went a step further, sorry. And in the golf ball itself, I changed the add component. Added a component, sorry. And I changed the component itself to sphere, a sphere static mesh. And then I simulated physics within the actual blueprint itself. And what that does is it allows for us to continuously have this golf ball spawn as a sphere no matter where we place the tile. Otherwise, we would have to continuously change the static mesh in the details panel every time we spawn the golf ball tile. So to keep the golf ball within the bounds of the map, we have here blocking volumes that we have around the map. And that's pretty much going to keep it from bouncing out of the map and keep it within bounds. And then finally, we have the gold tile. The gold tile is a duplicate of the no-no tile. In the gold tile, we have a collision box On overlap, the collision box is going to print a string. So for me, what I changed in this is that I put the collision box within the actual component itself. And so we have on component begin overlap box, we're going to cast it a golf ball. If the other actor is the golf ball, then we print the string you win. And then I added open level level sandbox, which is obviously the name of the level, and that's how we're restarting the map every time that the golf ball overlaps the collision box of the goal tile. So I mean that pretty much in a nutshell is how I set up this whole map. Any challenges that I could think of would be pretty much just kind of figuring out how certain things worked based on not having a lot of information within like the Trello card and the YouTube tutorial that I got from um, Tiara, but I was able to Google and kind of go off of what she said in order to put it all together. Um, Other than that, I mean, everything went pretty smooth, and that's my design in a nutshell. So I hope that was helpful, and I kind of look forward to seeing any feedback or seeing how you guys kind of were able to receive the information. Thank you.